Hello, my name is Michael, and today is Wednesday, the 7th of May, 2025. The reason why the date is significant is because I'm using Microsoft Azure, and they are constantly changing their interface. So if you're watching this a year from now, or 2 years, or even 2 months from now, it may be slightly different than what I'm showing you. But let's go ahead. I'm going to fire up my screen here. And I'm going to show you this. What we have is my browser, and I'm going to type in Azure Portal. And when you go there, it takes you to Microsoft Azure, and it is portal.azure.com. Now, I should mention, just have to clear my throat a little bit. I should mention to you that I do have a subscription with them. So in order to use the cloud of Microsoft or AWS or Google, you must have a subscription. So if you do not have one now, there's a free trial. They'll give you $200 worth of credit for 30 days. After the 30 days, you go to pay as you go. They will send you an email. But if you continue to use it after 30 days, they'll have gotten your credit card and they will charge you. But look, it's just like the light switch by the door. You have electricity, it's not for free. The more you use, the more you have to pay them. So when you go in the room, you turn on that light switch, and when you leave the room, if you don't need the light on, turn it off and you won't have to pay for it. So the cloud's kind of the same way. Now you see I have a few virtual machines here, but let's go. I could click here, create a virtual machine, but usually I just start at the menu and I can go to virtual machines. So you see I do have a few. If you didn't have any, there'd be a button down below that says create, but this one says create and it does the same thing. And so what we want is this Azure virtual machine. They do have preset configuration that you could use. They do have a marketplace where you could buy other solutions, but we're just going to make a simple VM. And you have your subscription is there, and you are going to need a resource group. So let's go create a resource group, and I can call it my demo RG. So RG, how about my demo cloud RG? Okay, whatever you want to call it. So you're going to make a resource group, which is just going to be a container for holding all of the virtual machine and the network and the IP address, the adapter, anything, the hard drive, everything that you're going to be using. And then when we're done, we'll just delete that resource group and gets rid of everything. So I'm just going to call this one Win Server, WinWeb Server. Okay. Just choose a name. And I'm going to use West Europe because I'm over here in Ireland. And you could pick your own availability zone from here. Or you can let them pick one. If you let them pick one, they don't give you an IP address. You'd have to set one up. I'll show you that in a few minutes. So I'm just going to go with self-selected zone. Zone 1's fine for me because what it will do is just let me choose. I'm going to choose Windows Server 2022. It's an image. And you see there's lots of images there. And you can see all the images if you want. So I could use that one. And then here's my price. Now, if you don't see the price there, sometimes if you go to a different zone, you might get more options. And then we need to give it a name. So my name is M. Weiss, and I'm going to put a very top secret password. I won't tell you what my password is. However, if you know how to spell Czechoslovakia, you may be able to hack into my account. Anyway, there is my password, and we're gonna make a website here. But what we could do is open up port 80. But what I'm going to do is I won't open up port 80 because I'm going to show you how to add port 80. We do need that, and we also need 3389 because Windows, we're going to use what's called Remote Desktop Protocol and connect up to it. So I just go click there. If I go back to previous, you see I go to disk. Now you see up here you have basic, disk, networking, management, monitoring, advanced, tabs, and review and create. So we're just going to go click hitting next. If you ever get a red error message, don't hit the back button, just go to these little tabs. You can hit back on the tabs. Okay, so I'm just going to use the default disk size, default premium SSD. There's no real reason to change that. Okay, if you needed a bigger disk, obviously, but we don't. And we don't need ultra disk compatibility, so we'll go on to next for our networking. This is what I was saying. We're going to have an IP address, but if it didn't give you one, you would just create one. Now, the reason why we need an IP address is because we're going to be building on this network. So you're going to have a private IP address, but you're also going to have a public IP address. Okay. So I'm just going to stick with my basic security group. I have a VNet. Now, it's going to make a VNet. My machine was called WinWeb Server, so it made a WinWeb Server VNet, which is just my own little slice of Microsoft Azure Cloud. Google and AWS do the same thing, but they call it a VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. So it's just your little slice of their network. You're building a server on their network. And just remember, the cloud is a big, giant network. So RDP is open. I could open up port 80, but I'll do that later. I will tell them to delete the public IP address, which is a good idea because if you get rid of your virtual machine and you don't delete the IP address, it's going to cost you money, okay? So IP address is valuable. So we keep going. We're not going to do load balancer. I'll do that in another video. I just click next here on management and Windows Defender. I think you can put that up there. There's extra stuff you can do. This Entra is like a Microsoft Active Directory for the cloud. We don't really need any of that kind of stuff. The auto shutdown is a nice feature. Shut it down tonight at 7 o'clock, but we don't need that. The backup's kind of cool, but it does cost you extra money. Okay, so we don't need that. Site recovery is cool, but it does cost you extra money. The OS updates, they're a pretty good idea, so we'll go with that. We can go with the monitoring, and we're just going to have basic monitoring. We don't need anything special. You could set up alerts if you want, to have certain events. So if a certain amount of disk gets consumed or, you're using too much CPU or something, we won't worry about that, though. And then the health check, maybe not a bad idea, but we don't really need it. It's actually for scale sets, so we're not going to worry about that because we're not making a scale set. It's a scale set, you might be asking. It's an autoscaler is what we'd call it on AWS or Google Cloud, but it basically scales out and scales back in, what we call horizontal scaling, or elasticity is the name. So we click on advanced, and this lets us put on, some custom data, which we don't need now. Maybe on a Linux machine in a future video I'll do that. We don't need reservations, but it's good to know about that because a reservation can save you a bunch of money. If you reserve some servers, one or more servers for a year, you get a big discount. If you reserve them for 3 years, you get a better discount. You do have to pay. And what if you don't need it for 3 years? You can sell it back to them, or there's an auction. They'll let you try to sell it to somebody else. But we don't need that. Placement group is if you want all the servers to be close together, which we don't need that. They charge extra for all this stuff. We are going to put a tag on. Tag is a good idea. I'll have a department. You have something like sales, marketing, accounting. I'll choose accounting. The tags are good because like when you're doing your billings, and if you have like 10 different departments, you can have each department put their own tags and trust them to tag them properly. Okay, so that's a good idea. So now it looks like it's going to cost me $75 a month, plus the disk costs money, plus the networking costs money, plus the management. Oh, that's free. Oh, they're so nice, right? Anyway, we go to review and create, and bada boom, bada bing. Takes a few seconds, but this turns out green. If it comes out red, what it means is you need to do is find out one of these would have a red X. You go back to that. Once again, don't hit the back button if you have to go back. But we don't have to go back. So what we're going to do is go forward. It says RDP is open, just reminding us, because somebody could theoretically get into our VM through RDP. So now we can say it is cooking, so to speak. Basically, really what's happening here is if I type in Blade server in data center, right? Basically, it's going to look like this. So you have these Blade servers that run up on the cloud, and they kind of look like this. Here we have just a number. There's Johnny. So Johnny is swapping in one of the Blade servers. There's Billy for a different network. So they're in these big giant racks. They're rack mounted, and they can be removed, and swapped out. So essentially, this is what it looks like inside the data center. So when you click on the console, you're controlling software. You're using software to control hardware, which is pretty sophisticated. So you just see this console. It's just like when you drive a car, you forget about the engine, right? You're making a virtual machine. You forget you're doing all this stuff. But in some server rack somewhere in, Ireland or, the Netherlands or wherever, they're making up a virtual machine for you, a server. So it's basically on one of these. This is what the Blade servers look like. These are each individual CPUs, and each CPU has a number of cores, and then the cores you could run a whole bunch of virtual machines. Okay, so basically this is what you're doing. This is behind the scenes at Azure. Okay, and then if we go here and type in Microsoft Data Center, what you see here is Microsoft has a whole bunch of data centers. So this is what the cloud is, everybody. Welcome to the cloud. Okay. So we're using Microsoft Azure, so that's why I showed you that. So now if we go back here, it says my deployment is complete. I don't know how long it took. Maybe it just finished. You have a little notification area there. So you can click here, go to resource. You can click there, go to resource. And when we go to resource, what we're going to find is that we can stop it, we can restart it, we can delete it, capture, there's a whole bunch of stuff. But what we're going to do is connect to it. But before we do, let's get a public IP address, right? So if I get the public IP address, I can put that into a browser, and we do not have a website now. So this is going to try to find a website on that server that's running up in the cloud, the one we just made. But first of all, there is no website on there, so we'll put that on there. Second of all, port 80 is not open, so we still wouldn't be able to see it even if there was a website. So what we're going to go do here now is we are going to go connect up to it. So the way we connect up to it is you see up here where it says connect. We're going to click on that. And we're not going to use a bastion. We're just going to hit a regular connect. And basically what we want is just to download an RDP file. So if I go here, this is in my open file, right? So when I go to open that file, here, let me go back a second. If I just go into my downloads, you can see I've got a whole bunch of stuff. So there it is. I'm just going to double click on it. I'm going to go click on connect. And now it wants that password I put in. So how do you spell Czechoslovakia? Oh, wait a second. I know this. Okay, oops, didn't like that password. That's more like it, okay? So it says, the identity of the remote computer cannot be identified. Do you want to connect anyway? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, don't worry about that. We just go click yes. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the cloud. So basically it's logging me in to this call it a virtual machine. We call them instance because you could have more than one. So they're called instances. So it's a virtual machine up in the cloud. So it takes a few seconds for it to get up and running. Now, when you start up Windows, it's going to start a service called Server Manager, which is kind of cool software because it lets us manage the server, like it says on the tin. One thing to point out to you, though, is with this remote desktops, it looks like I'm looking at my computer, right? I'll just click yes here. But I'm not looking at my computer. I'm looking at some other computer, hundreds if not thousands of miles away. It could be on the other side of planet Earth. But that's the beauty of remote desktops. So we are using RDP over port 3389 to connect up. So the server manager is starting up, and what we're going to do here is we're going to go put the website on here. Now this thing always comes up here about Windows Admin Center, so I just say don't show me that again because we're not going to use that today. And then if you look up at the top, there's a little sort of a status bar scrolling along up at the top. So we've got to wait for that, because if we go too soon and click on this, it's going to say, "Attention citizen, server manager is collecting inventory data. The wizard will be available after data collection finishes." So how will you know when it's done? Down here, these kind of turn like red, like just like that. Okay, so now if I click here, add roles and features, we can add roles and features. And let me talk about this for a second. We're going to be doing Linux machines in another video, and the thing about Linux is it's lean and mean. Like the most powerful supercomputers in the world don't run Windows. Nothing bad about Windows. Windows has some very great stuff built into it. You can make a domain controller. You can control a whole network with it. There's great, all the software you need is actually here in Server Manager, and this lets us just install it. So, but the thing about it is it makes Windows a little bit fatter, okay? It's not lean and mean. Linux, though, is different. Linux is lean and mean. If I needed to go add services, I need to have a connection to the internet. I pull them down from Linux repositories, and then I load them in. But here, everything's right here from Server Manager. So we're going to click Next. We're just going to have a role-based or feature-based installation. We only have one machine in the pool, but I could have 20 servers. And this console here is letting us do what's called remote administration, which we don't need that feature, but it's kind of nice because if you're an administrator, you have one server on the 23rd floor, one downstairs in the basement, one in another building somewhere else, so you can control all these servers from one console. Anyway, here's all the different server roles you can have. So you can have, like, we want web server. We're not going to put in DHCP server, but like if you were making Active Directory, make a domain controller, you would have that. The one we want is Web Server IIS, so we tick that. And once we do that, we get the option to add features, all the management tools, and we do want those. And then that's all we need there. So we just hit Next, and then we're going to hit Next again. And then one other thing to know that is you might need FTP. It's attached to the IIS, the web server. So we could put that in now, and then it saves us having to put it in later. And then we're going to install this. And you'll notice up here it says restart the destination server automatically if required. This does not need it. A few services like setting up a domain controller would need to reboot the whole machine. But for us, once IIS is done, it's done. And then I'll be able to show you the website here. I won't be able to show you the one on planet Earth, though, from my browser until we open up that port. So let's just give it a second here. This says close if we want. Now, because it gave a message saying we could close that and we could just go up to here. This is the notification area. And this is a good thing to know about because on Azure it has this as well. I was trying to show you that before. Basically, whenever events are happening, it'll give you a notification here. For example, when this one's done, it'll let us know. Right now it's at 47% or whatever that was, 59%. So it's cooking along pretty good. And let's just wait till it's done. Come on, buddy, you can do this. Excuse me. had a bit of a cold the other day. So here's 62%. Come on, come on, come on. Uh, 64%. Okay, so when it's done, what's going to happen is you have a console here called IIS, Internet Information Services. So basically, this is where you would go to set up the website, okay? But built in, it has a default little website. So if I go to here, go to default website, I can just go down here to browse, right? If I click on browse, that's going to go to here, right? So now it's going to start without your data. This is just their Edge browser. They want you to sign in, but I'm not going to sign in. So here's my IIS web page, right? Cool. Now, if we go back out to Planet Earth, though, we should be able to go here and refresh this and see our web page. Except we have a small problem. We've made the web page, but port 80 is closed. So what we're doing is going back to our Windows console. What we could do is, if I just click here on this menu, I can go to virtual machines, for example, or I could click there. So let's just go here. And then this machine was called Win Web Server. So what I'm going to want to do now that I'm in here, I need to click out here to networking, better still network settings. So if I click on my network settings, what you will see is, this is the notification area, by the way. I'm just going to close that. It's just telling me my machine's done, but we know that. But anyway, I clicked out there on network settings. And what that's letting me do here is see I have an area here called a network security group, which is kind of like a firewall. And it's got some ports there. And port RDP is open, right? And we can see it has allow. But we don't have a port 80. So we need to click there, port 80, and make a new inbound rule because it's the traffic going in. So the source could be any. And we're going to say custom HTTP, which is going to be port 80. And it gives us port 80 there. So now this is good. It gives it a little priority. We don't care about that. Allow any HTTP inbound. We're going to click add, creating security rule. Successfully created the rule. So now if we go back to notifications, we can see we've made our virtual machine and we made the rule, right? So now we should be able to go out here and refresh this or hit out there on the little spinny thing. Now notice it's not working yet, even though we made the port. Like if we go here, go to resource, we can see somewhere, hang on a second, in networking, go back to network settings, then we see here that we do have HTTP. And it does have allow, right? So the port is open. So how come it's not working? Well, it is working now. You see that? So the reason why it wasn't working is it takes a few seconds to do that. Now, if I want to, if I go remove that, right? See right here, if I remove port 80, right? Remove it, deleting security rule. Okay, so it says it deleted it, and if we go here, we can see in our notifications, it's all gone. So if we go here, refresh, this should not be showing. However, there's a small delay. It could be up to a minute before up on that server up there, it fully does the update. But you clearly see we have deleted that rule. If we go back here to your network settings, come on network settings, where are you? If we go to our network settings, you see port 80 is gone. We're so sad, right? So if we refresh again, come on, come on, come on. It will time out eventually. Oh, come on. Try it again. Try it again. Try it again. So there's a bit of a delay. So at first you're thinking, hey, we saw you added the port we could connect, but once you removed that port, you still could connect. You sure it's working? Just give it a minute here. This is life up on the cloud. Sometimes when you block stuff, it doesn't get blocked right away. Do you see me giving up? I'm not giving up. Come on. By the way, it says not secure because we didn't use HTTPS. And we don't use HTTPS here because you actually need to get like a little certificate for it. It makes it more secure, but it makes it more work too. So here, we're almost done. We've waited this far. So I'm determined. I am determined. Come on, come on, come on. I was going to pause the video. I didn't want you to miss it. Come on. It will work. I can prove it. Let's copy that IP address, right? Put it here. Does still connect. I've definitely removed the port. Maybe I need to go down here and refresh my virtual machine. I shouldn't need to, but I can click into this machine, right? Virtual machines, click on this one. Let's go click on, there's a refresh. See if that makes any difference. Gee, it's taking forever. Making a fool out of me. But look, we're going to go back into our virtual machine. We're going to go back to network settings. Clearly we see that port is gone. Clearly. Okay? You can see it. It's been removed. Come on. They're both the same. God, it really takes a long time. When we put the port on, it went on right away. Look, we waited this long. Might as well keep waiting. Oh, okay, I'm going to pause the video. Try it again. Okay, actually it took a long time, like 10 minutes. I had to stop the video. But watch. I'm going to go refresh the page now. Look, it's trying. See that X? And it's trying. It's sending a message up to the server. Come on, Mr. Server. Mrs. Server, where are you? Give another minute here, it'll time out. It's trying. You can see it's trying. And God, it's taken a long time. Linux goes faster. You'll see that. I don't know why Windows. There you go. So we finally got it. Okay. So now what you do is you can go to your Windows machine, and if you need it, leave it running. And if you do, it's going to cost you money. So what you can do is just go click on stop, and then it says stop that virtual machine, right? So now it's telling you we're stopping it, okay? And then there's my remote desktop session ended because I was still connected. And then the other thing is, though, we're going to go back and delete it. So if we go to virtual machines, I can go to this WinWeb, and I would just go, you need to click into it to delete it. So now I'm clicked into it, and so one of my options is here, is delete. So I'll click on delete, and then it's going to delete all of these things, the disk, the interface, the IP address, and it makes you confirm, because their lawyers don't want them calling up, my virtual machine got deleted, I'm really upset. So they go, no, we made you approve deleting it. So now it's telling me that it's deleting that virtual machine, and then in another minute it'll give us a notification. Keep in mind it's going up to the data center, that there's a big server rack that has those virtual machines are running on the server rack. So it's going up in the cloud. And now if we go to our notification area, it says it's successfully deleted your virtual machine. So everybody, this concludes this session for today, and I will see you in another video. And goodbye.